Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller. I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
I don't know if you've ever had one of those mornings where the universe looks at you and says, let's see what they're made of today. But that was this morning for me. And I had a different episode recorded for today, and I was going to upload that one, but I wanted to record this because it was on my brain and on my heart, and I spent the whole morning laughing. I really did. Even though things were going wrong, one right after the other, I just had to laugh and chuckle and just kept myself in a good mood because, man, sometimes life really just makes you sit back and stand back and take a deep breath sometimes and look around and kind of reset yourself. So this morning I went to the farm. I had one cow and one steer to load up into a trailer. My friend Aaron was coming to pick them up, and they were headed off with him. And so it was super early in the morning, and gosh, guys, it was so pretty out. It was gorgeous. It was the perfect morning. It was cool, and the sun was coming up, and it was making like sun streaks through the early morning clouds, and there was a little bit of a layer of fog on the hayfield because the air was cool and the ground was warm from the night before, and it was just beautiful. And I really took some time to enjoy the morning. I took some pictures, and it's a good thing I did because that was kind of where the beautiful stopped, was the weather. So we fought tooth and nail to try to get these critters, into the trailer. And when I tell you it wasn't going our way, I mean it. So now I've been born and raised on that farm. My great-grandfather moved there 100 years ago this year. So I'm no stranger to cows. I've been back from Rhode Island and managing the farm while my dad lives there and loading cows and steers and doing all that stuff since 2007. So I've had my fair share. And so today I figured something usually goes a little kooky, because that's just the nature of working with live animals. But the last 3 times my friend Aaron came, the cows and the steers just walked right on the trailer. We set up a little corral panel. We made them a little chute, and we opened the gate, and they walked right on. I gave them a little tap on the booty, and away they went, and things went great. And I should have known that 3 years in a row, things going great, that this year it was time for that to change. One of them jumped over the gate that it's a wooden gate. It's attached to one of the posts in the barn that goes up and props up the beams in the ceiling. One of them decided, after I got that closed, that they wanted to go back on the other side of it where they had come from. They jumped over it. Well, when they jumped over it, they hit it with their front feet, and because they're cows, they're not horses, but they were doing their best to jump over it. Not only did it break the gate, it knocked the pole down, took the post and tipped it over, knocked it right out of the ceiling. The post, the gate, the whole thing, and this is a gate that's like 9 feet long. Actually, that's 10.5 feet long and 5 feet high. Smashed itself right down, and now it's laying on the floor, and he's standing on top of it like, well, that was kind of fun. I got him round and round a couple different trips. He tried to go out the window at one point, and the window's nowhere near big enough for a cow, but he was sticking his head out to try to see if he could make a run for it. Finally got him in the trailer and got it locked, and he was situated, and now it was time to get what would be his half-sister into the trailer. Now, I knew this cow could jump, so I'm like, well, thank God he took the gate down, because she would probably try that too, and the same result, the same thing would have happened. So I let him go. I let him stay in the trailer. We clicked the front of the trailer closed, so that now he's isolated and cannot get back out of the trailer. She gets around me and starts going back their way, jumps over the barricade and jumps into the place where I stand to feed the cows, where the hay bales are and the grain barrel and all that kind of stuff. Jumped over that barricade, broke that little miniature wall that we had set up, and then stood there and stuck her head in the grain barrel to eat the grain. When I finally got her pried away from the grain barrel and turned back around, she decided she was going back over the broken gate that was still down because I hadn't stood it up yet. I wasn't even sure if I could stand it up because it was so heavy. But so she goes back, walks over that, ends up back in the place in the barn where she's used to standing to eat. And I'm like, all right, well, now she's trapped in here. or so I thought, I was going to get my feet under me, so to speak, and turn her around and get her in the trailer. Well, that didn't go as planned either. So I had a giant pallet blocking the door that the cows walk in and out of from outside to inside. And above that pallet, there was like 20 inches of daylight. And she decided that even though she was as big as she is and she was a full-grown cow, that 20 inches of space was all she needed. She took a running, flying leap, and she jumped up and wedged herself on top of this pallet, managed to weasel her head sideways and up and out and push herself off against the outside of the barn with her head to get enough leverage to get her front feet scrambled over. And by that time, the pallet was just not very, able to withstand all this crashing and smashing. So the pallet tipped down and fell flat. She flipped herself over on the outside of the pallet and ended up laying on the ground. Looked at me, looked around, rolled over, and thought, well, it looked like she was thinking, well, that was kind of fun, got herself up, and then just walked outside to start nibbling on some grass. And so I said, well, we're just going to laugh, because really, what else am I going to do? They don't understand they're doing something wrong. They were just trying to get away from me, and they were just trying to be, sometimes animals are difficult. And so my friend Aaron and I had a good laugh, and finally we got them loaded, and everything was okay. And I got everything buttoned up at the farm, put my carpenter hat on after that, and had to fix the beam and the gate that just got smashed down. So I got the beam back up into the ceiling underneath and supporting the beam that holds up the ceiling. I got the post back up, got the gate reattached, put the gate back in place where it goes, swung it closed, put the tractor back, put the ATV back, shut the lights off, I didn't lock the cows in, but, closed up the barn so they were happy, and off I went. I got home thinking, well, at least that's over. And I said, I'm going to get a cup of coffee and I'm going to sit on my lawn tractor and I'm going to mow the lawn. And that's here we go. It's going to be great. So I went in my shed, threw the key of the lawn tractor, went to push the throttle and the choke up on the lawn tractor, and the throttle lever snapped right off in my hand. And I just sat there and laughed on the lawn tractor. And I thought, man, there's nothing else to do. And there wasn't anything else to do. Now, it wasn't catastrophic for the mower. Like, I figured a way around it. I could still move the throttle up and down. But sometimes life reaches a point where getting angry doesn't fix anything. And actually, anger usually doesn't fix anything anyway. It's not productive to be angry because, sometimes we think, oh, I can rage my way through this. But I have found that that's not ever really the case. And, laughing doesn't solve the problem either. But it sure feels a lot better than being angry and miserable. And I literally sat there and chuckled and laughed. And I turned some music on in my earbuds. And I went, well, we'll fix this quick and get the lawn mowed and keep right on going and see how things go from there. And the morning, in the grand scheme of things, had a whole lot of parts to it that up front looked like they went quote-unquote badly, right? However, my quote-unquote bad morning included healthy animals, a farm, and in the healthy animal category, we are loading 2, but there was also 2 moms with 2 little babies that are super cute running around. That was great. And it also included a farm, and more importantly, a farm that's been in my family for 100 years this year that we're going to celebrate and have a party to celebrate afterwards. So if you'd like to come, please, come on over, get yourself on a plane and get here. I need help making the food and tying all the balloons together. So I'd love your help, please, and thank you. It also included a home, not only the home at the farm and the farmhouse, but my home. I have a beautiful house that I'm happy to live in. It included a lawn worth mowing and a lawn that needed mowing. It also included big things like the ability to work. The ability to have the knowledge of how to work with animals, being the education that my dad and my grandfather gave me to teach me how to move animals and to move the tractor out of the way that I needed and to clip things together and to rebuild. That was another thing. And I hadn't thought of this one until now. My dad was a carpenter, still is. He's been banging nails for a paycheck, as he puts it, since 1968. So he taught me to be a carpenter. Now, had that post been knocked down and the gate smashed apart and the doorway all broken apart, and I didn't have any carpentry skills that my dad had taught me, I would have kind of been out of luck. I would have just stood there and said, well, now what do I do? Now what's the plan? Now I have to call somebody. My dad's away on vacation. Now I have to call somebody to figure out who's going to come fix this because I don't know how. I'm blessed to have those skills, to have that knowledge. And I was blessed to have another day to enjoy and a place to sit and laugh at just all the things that were going wrong. But our brains, all they want to talk about is, well, the cow destroyed the barn, the lawn tractor handle broke. Our minds naturally zoom in on what's wrong. We focus on the negative. We focus on the problems. We say, well, that's great. That's just great. Something else went wrong. Well, I should just go back to bed today. And that's not productive, for one, and also it doesn't lead to a very enjoyable day. Now, sometimes, and this is a song lyric in a Kip Moore song that I love, but sometimes we are walking through gemstones looking for diamonds, right? And that lyric, I love that lyric. I love that song. Kip Moore didn't ask me to do this, although if I would love if he ever heard this podcast because I love him and I love his music. So that lyric has always stuck with me because we spend so much time chasing the next thing. If I could just make more money, get a bigger house, buy another vehicle, get the promotion, finally retire, reach the next milestone. I need some more coffee, you guys. Reach the next milestone. All these things on this list. Meanwhile, we're surrounded by incredible things that we've stopped noticing because they've become ordinary or they're not the quote-unquote thing that we're looking for. So, that's kind of my question is what gemstones are laying right there at your feet? Maybe it's your family, it's your health, it's a close friend, your church, your dog that follows you around. And some days you're like, oh my God, like this dog won't leave me alone. But how cool is it that you have a dog and a best friend and a little fur baby that wants to follow you around and hang out with you all the time? Maybe it's a sunrise. Maybe it's a cup of coffee on the porch. I know I'm thankful for that every morning. I sit on the porch with my coffee in the morning and sometimes look around and just say, gosh, I'm so thankful to be this blessed to have so many beautiful things right in front of me. And sometimes it's a quiet evening. When you look at the calendar, go, nope, nothing on it. And the kids are like, hey, can we just hang out? And you say, yeah, let's do that. Not everything valuable sparkles from a distance. And I think that's something we lose sight of. We think that everything shiny and everything that sparkles are the only good things when all the things that we have around us that maybe don't sparkle are still really, really beautiful and worth taking note of and worth taking care of and focusing on and being thankful for. And here's the caveat to that. You don't have to pretend everything is perfect. This isn't like toxic positivity where you say, oh, everything's rosy. Nothing bad ever happens in my life. I'm always happy. I'm never mad. I'm never sad. Like that's just so unrealistic. People ask me a lot. They're like, you're a very happy person. I'm like, I sure am. And they're like, well, do you ever get sad? Of course I do. I get sad. I get upset. I get frustrated. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I could just jump on a plane and fly 5,000 miles away. And I know for a fact that would fix all my problems when I'm feeling overwhelmed or tired or just on any other random day of the week that sounds like it would be good. And so this is not a, hey, everything's perfect, everything's fine. But because in reality, look, the barn still needed fixing. The lawn tractor throttle lever still needs some kind of repair in the long run, unless I want to use a screwdriver for the rest of the lawnmower's days. These problems are real. They still exist. They're still here. But they don't get to erase every good thing that exists alongside them. Two things can be true. This is frustrating and I'm still grateful can walk side by side. They don't have to be exclusively their own. You can have those two feelings at the same time. As a matter of fact, today I had those two feelings side by side a lot, like a lot, because let's face it, lots of stuff went wrong this morning. But really, you guys, when I say, and I'm not just saying this to be like, oh yeah, if things were going wrong, and I was laughing about it. I really was. I wish somewhere that there was a video of me that existed. I was texting with my mom during all this, and she was like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. And so I sent her a selfie of me with this giant smile on my face, and she said, that's my kid, still smiling. She said, you've always been like that. And I'm like, well, it's fun. That's all good. I had good music in my ears while I was cleaning up the farm and fixing things, and the cows were loaded. They were on their way, and I just listened to my music and looked at the sunrise and looked at the beautiful weather, and I thought, I'm good. I'm still really blessed to be working on all this stuff. Because how cool and how big of a blessing is it to have enough open space in this world and a farm where I can raise animals that I've been taught to raise by my father and my grandfather. And before that, my great-grandfather was teaching my grandfather before I was born. All those things have come true and all those things have happened. And I literally live inside all of that beauty every single day. So it's silly not to focus on that. It's silly not to look around and say, oh, those things actually still exist. You can be frustrated and you can be grateful. And more importantly, try not to be frustrated. Try to look around and say, okay, this is a frustrating situation, but I'm still grateful. And you know what? The lawn tractor probably looked at the cow and thought, hold my throttle, right? You think your morning's going wrong? Hold my steering wheel. And then I moved on in my day doing chores and things were going great. And I was moving firewood and dragging some stuff up with another piece of equipment in my house. And I broke a chain because I just was like, that'll work. And I broke it. And so again, I just laughed because the chain's probably 50 years old. And so she's done her time. I can fix it. She's had a good run. But I think so often as we walk through our day and we go through our day, we look down at the things we have to do, right? If you are someone who physically sits at a desk, sometimes it is a literal looking down, like at the desk. If you're someone who works with your hands, maybe it's a project right in front of you, you're looking down at the equipment in front of you. And I think this is true with lots of different professions. We look down, we look at our hands, we look at our feet, we look where we're going. We're always looking at what's in front of us to say, okay, well, this is the thing we have to look at and we have to focus on. Now, sometimes that's very true. If you're a brain surgeon, please look down and focus on what you're supposed to be focusing on. We want to make sure that the brain gets fixed and you're not just, wandering around looking at everything else in the room. But all around you, while you're focusing on those things, all around you, big, beautiful things are happening right in front of you. And even sometimes the big, beautiful things aren't happening in the action-related sense of the word, but they are existing and unfolding around you and just being there for you without you even noticing. Today, I could have yelled and screamed and got mad at the cows and mad at the universe and shook my fist in the air and kicked and screamed and thrown stuff in the barn. That would have gotten me absolutely nowhere. It would have made the whole process take the same amount of time and probably even longer because, let's face it, when we're frustrated and angry, nothing goes correctly. But I didn't want to do that. And by not doing that, and by getting to a point where I could just laugh and say, you know what, we'll just keep right on going, one thing after the other, let's try another strategy, improvise, adapt, and overcome. By doing that, I allowed myself to have a fantastic day, even amongst the crazy, awful morning. And, I was talking to my brother, too, at the same time. I was texting him while I was mowing my lawn, and he does a bunch of stuff. He's got like 4 different jobs. But one of the things he does is he's a dispatcher for an emergency ambulance, or emergency center where they dispatch ambulances. And he sent me a text, and he's like, my shift started at 8 o'clock. I've only been here like 26 minutes, and I've already dispatched 4 calls. And I said, well, brother, listen, here's what my morning looked like. It's just going to be one of those days, So it made me laugh, too, and made me feel good that it wasn't just me that was having a crazy Sunday that was, kind of started with a bang. So, so my equipment had a group text about the cows and that they all got together and started my day off on a big, giant, crazy, frustrating note. These 2 big words that are floating right across my brain right now. So what? Right? So what? I had a crazy morning where nothing went right. Am I still alive and well? Yup. My heart's still beating. I still got air in my lungs. I right now have a delicious cup of cold brew coffee right next to me. All those things happen, and I can still have a good day. I can still remember that I am blessed, and all these beautiful things are around me. And if I just look around and see them, it will bring me back to a place where I feel grateful, even though I was having some frustrating stuff happen in the morning while I was going through my day. So as we wind down today, guys, before you go looking for diamonds, look around you. Look where you're walking. Don't just focus on what's right in front of you. And I said before, so often we look down, and we do. But, look down at where you're walking, or look down at what's around you where you're walking, because that song lyric, it's so good to me when I think about it and hear it and listen to it in that song, because I'm like, gosh, it's so true. Sometimes we're like, oh, diamonds, this good thing, got to look for it. And all around us are these beautiful things that we're tiptoeing through, and we have no idea that they're there because we stopped looking for them. And more importantly, we stopped looking at them. Because someday the ordinary things that we're overlooking today, they might become the things that you miss the most. And there's no shortage of sayings about all the things, like you never know when you're going to pick up your kid for the last time. You never know when you're going to hug this person for the last time. You never know when you're going to get to say goodbye. If you remember my couple episodes ago about regret and my grandfather, that whole story, trust me, I've got that one through my whole body and that lesson learned. So life isn't about waiting for a day where nothing breaks, where nothing goes wrong, and every plan unfolds perfectly. It's about learning to laugh when the throttle lever comes off in your hand. It's about fixing the things that broke when the gate gets crashed through or the post falls down. It's about remembering that even on the messiest days, you're probably standing in the middle of blessings you haven't noticed yet, or maybe haven't noticed in a while. And I want to just right now take a minute to really encourage you to look at those things around you, to take the time and find the time to look at those beautiful things that you are swimming all around, that are swimming all around you, and just be super grateful and super thankful for them. I bet it will help even if you're having a frustrating day. My friends, wherever you are in the world, thank you so much, so much for lending me your time and your ears. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you coming to listen and hang out with me. Be well wherever you are. Take the best care, and I hope things go really, really well for you and your next day and your next day and your next day. Go fantastically with no broken things, with no crazy cows, and everything in between. All right, my friends, be well. Thanks very much. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.